Call this regular meeting of the Fairborn City Schools Board of Education to order Thursday, December 7th, 2017. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Call the roll, please, Mrs. Marshall.
Mr. Wilson?
Here.
Mrs. Millard?
Here.
Mr. Browning?
Here.
Miss Luce?
Here.
Mr. McCourt?
Here. Okay, we have addendums on the agenda tonight. Have a motion to approve the agenda as presented with the addendums.
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Browning.
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Luce. Any comments, questions?
I do just want to mention, because we removed this after we sent it out to the public, we removed, where is it? I'm sorry. We removed under new business 12, I think it was item I, there was an agreement for Spectrum. We removed that from the agenda because we haven't actually received the agreement yet. So. And then there's also an addendum at the end of the agenda.
Right.
Okay.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Motion carries. Superintendent's report. Mr. North.
I'm going to ask Mike to start with his monthly, well, it's not monthly, quarterly report of the Greene County Career Center.
Thank you, Mr. Wilson, Board, Mr. North, and Merry Christmas to all of you. Just want to give you a couple of things that are going on at the Career Center. We just recently concluded Career Awareness Days there, and had more than 850 sophomores from the 7 Greene County schools visiting the Career Center that was a couple weeks ago to experience career opportunities in our labs. Probably most significant was the fact that we had an larger than normal contingent, great increase in students from Beaver Creek. And I conjecture that it's probably related to the fact that we have a new aerodynamics engineering initiative going on out there, and it seems to have attracted an awful lot of attention. That's part of our overall Take Flight initiative, that we're trying to more attune our curricula to the needs of the aerospace industry, the manufacturing industry, and the medical industry here in the Miami Valley and Southwest Ohio. And then to further that, we're also currently working on a new strategic plan, which I have been volunteered to help with, and it includes not only new programs, but new facilities. And we're working diligently in multiple different venues to try to locate a place to have new facilities, the money to do it, and then all the planning that goes into that. Right now we're at the still in the political development stage of the program, but I can tell you that we are going to be surveying families throughout Greene County to find out what they think about the Career Center, and to gauge what we're going to have to do to get future support should we require additional funding over and above what we currently get through property taxes. I know that Mr. North is going to talk about this in a few minutes, but the Business Advisory Council, of which another thing that I got volunteered for, is being organized at the Educational Service Center to look at additional ways to connect students and jobs. Membership includes district superintendents, board members, and county business people. I am representing the Career Center and also the Wright-Patterson Air Force Base industry. I just want to give you somebody says, what do you guys do? Well, our mission statement is the Greene County Business Advisory Council, in partnerships with Greene County schools and businesses will assist in the assessment of workforce needs and employability skills for student success in the regional economy. And basically what we hope to do is be more successful in bringing the schools and the business community together, and hoping that this is a win-win, providing exposure to careers and jobs for high schoolers, and provide workers for the industries. Lastly, sort of on a personal note, but also to offer a little bit to Fairborn High School, I've been asked to help, and I have been helping the Project Lead the Way engineering instructor down at Xenia High School, because he is a mechanical engineer and is relatively unfamiliar with aerospace. I've been down there several times to provide lectures and tutoring on different aspects of aviation, including why do airplanes fly, and I go at least one step beyond its magic, to how do you fly a simulator? What are all those instruments? You know, if you look at a cockpit of an airplane, it looks like there's too much to understand. But once you get told what each instrument is for and how you use those instruments, it's pretty straightforward. So, and I want to offer that. I was hoping that Ms. Gayhart was going to be here tonight, because I was going to offer her personally, but since she's not, I'm going to tell everybody. And let them pass the word as they see fit. But I'd be more than happy to assist similar efforts here at Fairborn. Let's see if there's anything else. That's about it, and we are looking for. We have a new chef at our culinary arts department, and he's from Morocco. But and I'm looking forward. Next week is our Christmas dinner. He is an excellent chef. And the kids are doing really wonderful. I can't wait to see what he puts on for a Christmas dinner. With that, I'll take any questions that you might have.
Questions?
If there are none, then I will thank you very much for your time. Have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Yeah, Mike, I just wanted to say thank you for the work you're doing out at the Career Center also, and thanks for coming and giving us the updates. We do appreciate it.
I'll tell you, this is about as much fun as I can have for not getting paid.
Yeah, that's right.
We'll make sure we keep it that way. Second item is just add on briefly to Mike's communication about the Business Advisory Council, and I've communicated over the past week or so to the board about this, but so the public understands what's happening here. This directive come out of the governor's office, and the direction was for ODE to develop standards in order for districts to be able to operate groups titled Business Advisory Councils throughout the state. Many school districts are doing this through the ESC, and it makes perfect sense in Greene County to do this rather than 8 individual school districts, for us, all the communities to join together because of the way our business and industry, and particularly the influence from Wright Pat has on this county. So as Mike said, there's various people. There's a few board members, there's a few superintendents, and there's people from the various aspects of the business and industrial community that are meeting, even though the standards have not been developed yet by ODE. That's never stopped us before. And because the one of the directives is out of the governor's office is for these meetings to take place quarterly. Well, if we don't have the standards and we wait for the standards, we will never make the requirements to meet quarterly. And as Mike shared with you, the first goal was to develop a mission statement, and from there we are also looking to, I think a fair word, recruit individuals out of business and industry here in Greene County to join, to give input on, again, I'll reiterate what Mike said, to one, help make sure that school districts are on the right track, preparing young people for careers as well as college, and also to find out from the input from our various businesses and industry in Greene County where we may be able to improve and do a better job in preparing our young people for those future careers in Greene County. So that's pretty much it. I think between the two of us, we covered that about as much as we can. The other thing I want to share with you tonight, and also just as you know, there's a resolution in your packet. So it's more symbolic than anything else to say we are supporting the part of Fairborn City Schools being part of this Business Advisory Council. Also in your packet, you have information, and I've also communicated this recently, a resolution to support Senate Bill 216. It's pretty self-explanatory, but educators throughout the state have talked to various legislators, and we found a legislator who was willing to introduce this bill in the Senate, and it's pretty simple. It's actually a little different than what we're accustomed to with Senate bills. Usually Senate bills will require school districts to do various additional things with no funding tied behind it. Right. This Senate bill was counter to that, just quite the opposite, and it's asking to eliminate barriers to employ highly qualified teachers, eliminate unnecessary and duplicated tests that are used to assess student learning, provide more accurate methods such as a paper test for assessing third grade students' ability to read, and eliminate the technical aspect that can reduce those test scores, to require the National Testing Service to provide meaningful information for teachers to use to help students learn and grow, restore the rights of parents to have some control over their children's attendance, restoring the ability of school boards to enforce educational policies that meet local community needs, consolidating and streamlining state reporting requirements to reduce time expended on unproductive paperwork, and providing relief from other mandates that may have accumulated over time. So I ask the board to pass this resolution. We'll send this to our legislators along with other school districts across the state. And again, it's a way to communicate in one strong voice that there's a lot of things that we need to take out of the schools, and the over use of testing is one of the big ones. And so that resolution's in front of you. Well, the last thing I want to share with the board tonight is some expectations that I'm going to be sharing with our staff. As you all know, one of the things that we've worked on to build relationships and gather support from our parents, which everyone knows that the only way we're going to have any success with our children being productive and being able to compete in a very competitive world is for educators and parents to work together. It's no different than home. You know, as long as mom and dad are on the same page, we have a fighting chance with our children. And it's kind of the same thing with schools. As long as parents and teachers are on the same page, we have a fighting chance of helping our students be successful. And one of the things that we started doing this year was communicating. Our teachers are communicating as a whole, district-wide across the district, with parents every 2 weeks regarding where students are at with their grades. We have a tool in place. It's been in place in this district for a long time. It's called Gradebook, and we are moving to from going from 2 weeks to every week. And I met with a few teachers the other night, and there was several things that we talked about, but one of the things that really struck a note was they'd shared that, you know, I haven't done a really good job of communicating and getting the information out to the staff regarding the expectations with Gradebook. And as I said that night, I stand corrected. I agree that I could have and should have done a better job in communicating with our staff on addressing the need of communicating with parents and how we can do it. And so tomorrow morning, I'm going to be sending a communication out to our staff to try to correct that mistake. So what I'd like to do tonight is share with the board this communication, and then staff will be receiving this communication first thing in the morning. So with that, dear staff, a reminder that gradebook reporting will move from every 2 weeks at the end of the 9-week period to communicating weekly with parents in the third 9-week period. I understand there will be some adjustments for some staff members with this change in expectations. There will also be some small issues to address throughout the 9-week period as we move communicating with more frequency with our parents. Building administrators will be working with you as items come up. Our objective will be to provide information to parents with consistency throughout the district. The goal is to become a district that will provide frequent and accurate information about our students for our parents in a continuous manner. Frequently refers to weekly reporting of any grade assignment for the week. Accurately refers to feedback that is reflective of all graded work submitted by the students at a given point in the week. This is one of the fundamental practices of providing quality education. We have a system in place that provides the means to achieve this goal. This system will help us ensure that student grades be timely so that students and parents can use the feedback immediately to improve their performance on homework, assignments, tests, and projects. We are also in the process of making this communication tool extremely easy for our parents to use by simply adding an app-like feature to their phones to check on their child's or children's progress. Professional development on gradebook will be provided before school and after school. This will be scheduled by building administrators before and after break and for anyone who needs assistance. We have developed a shared gradebook team drive with resources to support teachers and parents in learning about gradebook. Administrators will cover various topics of reporting grades on major tests at the end of the week, major projects, block scheduled classes at the intermediate building, etc. There will be other items that we'll have to work through during the next 9 weeks. In order to be effective, any graded assignment will bifocal, shame. Any graded assignment collected will need to be recorded, with the rare exception to projects mentioned earlier. There will be gradebook comment notes developed to communicate to parents that major project tests will follow the next week. The purpose of moving to weekly communications is simply good practice as we continue to improve the educational environment for our students. We will have greater support from our parents who are more involved in their children's education and grades. Our students will perform at a higher level with their parents' awareness of their grades, and improving the frequency and accuracy of communicating students' grades will improve our relationship with parents and improve the class environment. In the future, as we move forward in improving student achievement through accurate, frequent reporting of student progress, we will also be examining late and missing work, extra credit, grading scales, meaningful assignments, and consistency of curriculum in each grade level. These are areas that will be addressed through volunteer committees that will meet this winter and this spring in order to prepare for the following school year. Thank you for your commitment to making a school environment that will give every student the best opportunity to be successful. Thank you, Mark. So again, our staff will receive this communication, and then we will be working through administrators in the buildings with our staffs to just work through any hiccups that may come up this next 9-week period through our weekly communications with parents, and with the hope that we'll be traveling on smooth roads by the 4th 9 weeks. So that's it for superintendent's report.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. We'll move on to item 6, recognition of visitors. If there is anyone that wishes to address the board, please step up to the microphone, state your name and address, and limit your comment to 3 minutes. Seeing no one, we'll close recognition of visitors. Item 7, approve the minutes of the November 2nd regular board meeting. Be it resolved that since minutes have been distributed to board members in accordance with legal statute, reading of the minutes be hereby waived, and further such minutes be approved. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. McCourt.
Second.
Thank you, Mrs. Malad.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Motion carries. Okay, item 8, treasurer's report.
My turn. I have a PowerPoint, as usual. This month, we're going to be going over the October 31st, 2017 month-end financials. Overall, we had total revenues of about 1.6 million higher than at the same time the prior year. The main difference is just due to timing with our property tax allocation receipts. Our homestead and rollback state reimbursement hadn't come in until later in the year last year, so this will start to even up a little bit. We will have more revenues this year because of the state funding that I've been talking about for quite some time. We forecast to receive about a 2.5% increase over last year's numbers, and it will fluctuate depending on enrollment and how that works out. As of October 31st, we had received 40.95% of the total revenue forecast for the year. The forecast was the forecast that was approved at the end of October. We had total expenditures of about $700,000 higher than the same time the prior year. We had a lot of capital outlay expenses that we had in outstanding purchase orders that were part of last year's budget that we actually paid for in this year. So that's a big part of that. We also have some increases for our staff that was part of our negotiated agreements. Overall, we had spent 32.76% of the total forecast amount for the year. October is about 33% in through the year, so we're pretty well on track. Our total cash balance in the general fund was about $25.9 million. We had $6.5 million in outstanding purchase orders for an unencumbered balance of $19.4 million. This is just a graph of the cash flow for each month. Overall, we had $5.2 million more in cash. This is just the general fund. Our average monthly expenses for our personnel costs were about $2.4 million. Everything else was about $1.2 million for a total of $3.6. We had 327 certified employees, including substitutes, and 259 classified employees, including substitutes. This is as of the end of October. This is our schedule of investments. Not really much change since last year, just the interest earned goes into this account right here. And then we have our Star Ohio account that all of our receipts from the state and the county auditor go into that account. And we transfer it into the general operating account as we need it. This is our schedule of investments for all of our bond and construction accounts. There's not much change with this, just the interest on the investments. This is our cash reconciliation. I did remember to move this over this month so you can see that that is a 0. So, but yeah, so this is, not much different than last month's. We did reconcile to 0, which is what we like to do. We had $39,000 in the payroll clearance account at the end of the month. And that's all I have for the monthly report. I do want to take a minute and I want to say thank you to Miss Jerry Luce. Tonight is her last board meeting, and she's been with me the whole time I've been here, and I appreciate her very much. She was part of the board that hired me, obviously, and I'm going to miss you a lot. So I just wanted to say that. That's all I have. Are there any questions from the board? I'm sorry.
Any questions, comments?
No.
Okay.
No questions for me? No?
Okay. Thank you, Mrs. Marshall. Okay, we'll move on to item 9, the consent agenda, which runs through page 5. And then there will be a separate
Addendum.
item on the addendum there. So, the consent agenda covers the usual personnel, business, office, and student services items. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Browning.
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Luce. Any questions, comments about any of these items? Okay. Okay, call the roll.
Mr. Browning?
Yes.
Ms. Luce?
Yes.
Mr. McCourt?
Yes.
Mrs. Malott?
Yes.
Mr. Wilson?
Yes, motion carries. And then the addendum item, which is some stipends for the teachers and a late resignation that's come in. That's on page 10. May I have a motion? So moved. Thank you, Mr. McCourt.
Second.
Thank you, Mrs. Malad. Any questions, comments? Okay. Call the roll.
Mr. McCourt?
Yes.
Mrs. Malott?
Yes.
Mr. Browning?
Yes.
Ms. Luce?
Yes.
Mr. Wilson?
Yes, motion carries. Okay. Item 10, Treasurer's Office.
Is that part of new
That's-
business?
that's-
Okay.
That's item, yeah, that's item.
Got it.
Okay, we'll
Yeah.
come back to that.
Thanks.
Just checking.
Set of eyes checking up on me. Okay, I have a motion on the Treasurer's Office items.
So moved.
Thank you, Mrs. Malad.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Browning. Mrs. Marshall?
Yes. So I have some transfers on this agenda. These were part of the planning with the forecasting that we did. We are increasing the transfer to the termination benefits fund by $100,000 over what we've been doing in the past years. This is because as I forecast out our payroll dates in future years, we will have 27 pays in one fiscal year in 2023. So we want to start putting some money aside so that that's a large expense. We don't want it to hit us all at
Right.
once. We also have $500,000 that we're transferring to the permanent improvement fund, which is part of the capital projects plan that we've been working on. The $23,000, that's the 17 class yearbook going to the 18 class yearbook. And the $6,000 are for the promotional items. We do that each year so that we establish that fund. We have a new depository agreement with Fifth Third Bank. The state recently updated the laws that are required for our pooled collateral. So it's the money that we have in Fifth Third. They're required to have so much in pooled collateral set aside for us. And now the treasurer state is going to determine what that number is. And so this just mirrors what the law is. We're required to update it before the end of December.
There was a whole new set of acronyms to learn out of that attachment.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. Also, item D, we have resolutions to waive delinquent property taxes. The city's acquired a few parcels of land
Right.
from a foreclosure that happened, and as part of their redevelopment project, and it has some delinquent property taxes on it. I don't know quite the amount that's the school, because what the county auditor's website gives me is just the total delinquency, and then just looking at the millage, it's less than $25,000 for all three parcels.
Good.
There are some special assessment delinquents that are on there that would be the cities that might bring that down even more. So, and we're getting rid of a microwave and some food slicers.
All right.
Okay, any other questions or comments?
No, okay.
Okay, call the roll, please.
Mrs. Maud?
Yes.
Mr. Browning?
Yes.
Ms. Luce?
Yes.
Mr. McCourt?
Yes.
Mr. Wilson?
Yes, motion carries. Item 11, gifts and donations. Mr. McCourt, would you do the honors,
Sure,
please?
gifts and donations, always good to do. Just starting down the list, Robert and Mary Cox, $100 toward marching band uniforms. Ali Industries, Craig, and I'm gonna try that as Murakami. Sandpaper from Baker Middle School. Project, Lead the Way Classrooms, valued at $458, and some change. El Toro Management Services, $550 toward the senior class trip to New York City. And Parada Italian food, or street food in Beaver Creek, 10 pans of pasta, 6 pans of salad for the Fairborn High School teachers during the conference night, valued at just shy of $1,000.
I like that food.
And we thank them for their generous donations.
I have a motion.
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Browning. I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Motion carries. Item 12, new business for the Board of Education, and there's a second item for a vote that's also on page 10 out of the agenda, so.
That will be for a separate.
Yeah, that's a separate vote, yeah. But I'm trying to remind myself. too.
Okay, I'll remind you.
I did.
Oh, may I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. McCourt.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Browning. Any discussion on these items?
I'd just like to mention that item C is approving the program requirements in the schematic design phase submission for the primary school. It's a resolution. There's the whole schematic design that's being approved, and then also there's a separate LFI agreement, so that's one vote on this.
Okay. And that's a pretty extensive document.
Right.
Yes, it is.
And we also have a phone system replacement on there,
Oh,
which will
yes.
be welcome news for
Yes.
those who have tried to call the district and the
Failed.
phones haven't been working.
Yeah, we're very excited about that. We're going to be working on replacing the phones, I believe, starting around springtime. I'm looking at Dr. Brackenhoff. Spring break is our goal. Yeah. So, and I know that they're planning on having the phones set up so that we can practice with them without them actually being
Right.
in service. So that'll be good.
And the
Yes.
hardware's transferable to the new building.
And the hardware is transferable to the
important.
new
Yeah.
buildings. Yeah,
Yeah.
we've already
Yeah,
asked
that's-
OFCC for permission
Right.
to have them added to the new buildings.
Okay. Call the roll, please.
Mr. McCourt?
Yes.
Mr. Browning?
Yes.
Ms. Luce?
Yes.
Mrs. Malad?
Yes.
Yes.
Mr. Wilson?
Yes.
Wrong time.
Yeah, wrong time, yes. Okay.
Addendum?
Move on to the addendum, new business, which is appointing Mr. McCourt to serve as President pro tempore to conduct the election of the new president and vice president. The next meeting, which, call your attention to this, is January 11th. That's the second Thursday rather than the first Thursday. So that's here at the Media Center, 6 p.m., January 11th. And also improve compensation for our newly elected board member, Mary Reister, at the going rate of $80 per meeting. Whoopee. Yeah, it's our retirement fund. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Browning.
Second.
Thank you, Mrs. Luce. Can you call the roll, please?
Mr. Browning?
Yes.
Ms. Luce?
Yes.
Mr. McCourt?
Yes.
Mrs. Malad?
Yes.
Mr. Wilson?
Yes, motion carries. We'll move on to board member reports and good of the order. Mr. Browning.
Okay,
With you.
just a couple things. Since the last board meeting, our marching band was at the BOE Grand Nationals in Indianapolis, and they had by far their best performance of the year at that, and represented the district very well. It was a neat thing to go to. The middle school Thanksgiving lunch, I've had the pleasure of doing that the last few years, and it's for the sixth graders there, and that's a neat event. Pretty much all of us were there helping serve and getting to talk to the kids and the parents, and that's a neat event they put on every year. The winter concert this past weekend, it's the orchestra, the band, the choirs, and it's such a neat event. And the way they finished that with Silent Night is pretty moving to me. And the other neat thing that happened this year with the jazz band was John and Karen Goretta sang a duet together. And they both sing good. I mean, I was impressed with what they did. So I really enjoyed that event. Also, the BMS, the middle school band concert, that's 6th through 8th grade. The really neat thing there is you listen to the sixth graders, and they started with kind of what they sounded like the first day, which is just honking and stuff. and you can see the progression from 6th through 7th through 8th grade and the type of music that they play over those 3 years. It shows what the music program does here and the progression that kids have through there. Then the final thing was the 3rd grade musical. Just went to that this week, and boy, what a cute event. And there's so many kids involved with that it's actually 4 different nights that's broken up by classrooms. And I really enjoyed that. And what Mrs. Chenoweth does with all of them is really, really neat. So a lot of good events that our kids are involved with.
Mrs. Malad.
All right. Yeah, lots of stuff happened. I feel like it's been 3 months since we had our last meeting, but it really hasn't been that long. First off, right after we had our last board meeting, a lot of us attended the Ohio School Boards Association conference up in Columbus, which gave us the opportunity to attend several different educational opportunities to learn about different innovations in education going on around the state. I personally listened to some talks on preschool expansion in urban areas, and Cleveland and Cincinnati working towards expanding their preschool programs to be able to get more kids in spots as preschool is becoming more and more important to child success in later life, as well as some updates on teacher professional development opportunities and upcoming legal issues that the law sees facing school districts around Ohio this year. So some really interesting stuff to learn about. We also, some of us attended the Digital Academy celebration, celebrated their 15th year, was that right? So that was a really lovely event that Senator Rick Perales attended, and just kind of giving the folks out there a little credit for doing such a great job helping to get some of our graduates through. And then just this past week, as if John and Karen were not doing enough, they also had the middle school choir concert was Monday night. And as Jerry said, it's really neat as well in the choral events to see the tiny little 6th graders walk up and sing everything in unison, and then moving on to the 8th graders who are now singing in 4-part harmony, and they get so big. I don't know what happens in 2 years, but so. And then, of course, they finished up with, they did a group song with everybody all together up on the risers. And the way that program is growing, I'm not sure if they'll be able to do that again another year. They were packed in there like sardines to get all the kids on stage for one big song. So, but full house, not a seat empty. So it's really neat to see how proud our family members are to come out and see their kids perform, and always special to see this time of year. So,
Okay. Mr. McCourt.
Oh, just 1 or 2 things. First of all, I'd like to, I get the Fairborn paper, this was on page 2 of 3, recognizing Baker Middle School for some of the things that they're doing over there, and they received a bronze level award banner, and just kudos to the staff and the administrators over there for what they do. Fall sports banquet, which I attended, went off without a hitch. A lot of good athletes, a lot of good student athletes, I should say. but it went very well. I just want to say thanks to all the people involved with the ongoing phone situation here in the district. I didn't know we had 174 phones in this district, but we indeed do, or we will have new phones. But and I appreciate all the work is done there. Thanks to the news media for coming. We welcome you each and every week, and please come back. The OSBA conference was very good. I think we have made one rule that next year Jerry Browning is not allowed to drive and pick the parking spot.
Yeah, it
One
was
day we
cold.
walked all over eastern Columbus trying to find where we were supposed to be. But that was good. And I would also like to, in that this is Jerry Luce's last meeting, you know, Jerry's been around this town forever, and, you know, as you heard earlier, we get paid like $80 a meeting, so we don't do this to get rich. But it's kind of a payback thing, I think, for most of the people who serve on the board. Michael, I'm sure it is for you, when you served, and the rest of us. But it's kind of a payback time, you know, for us that's been around, and maybe our kids come through the system, and what do we do now? So, I mean, that's a big reason I come back, is just to help our kids and you know, make it better for them. Jerry, I know, went through 2 years without us, and then 2 years with us. So we sure appreciate that. And Jerry, what I'd like to do, and I won't read this entire thing, but this is just a recognition on what you have done here in the district, and signed by all the board members. And maybe after we all get done here, maybe we can get a picture out front. But this most certainly is for you, dear. I'll give that to you. Thank you so much for what you do. Also, I talked to Jerry early on in the year about what we should do, or what she would like to do. I don't mean to diminish the awards, but you know, there's plaques, there's flowers, there's recognitions. Jerry and I had talked, and she told me she would like to have a brick. Well, I dropped by about 15 of my old brick laying around the backyard, and that wasn't the brick she wanted. But we, the board, have all pitched in, and we're going to be getting Jerry a brick for out in the track area with her family name on it. We've already talked to the people and got this ordered. Unfortunately, we only get these made once a year, and it's in June. So if you'll leave us a forwarding address, if not locally, we'll get that brick to you. But that's coming your way, a nice 8x8 paver that will go down by the track for Jerry then. But again, you know, we all do this because we love kids, and I know Jerry is in that same boat, and she's been a little slice of heaven, I know, for me, knowing her for a long, long time and working with her in other projects, but here on the board, and I think she's done a tremendous job, and we thank you for what you do, sweetie. And finally, Merry Christmas to everybody. Go home and hug your kids tonight. They're what we're all about. So Merry Christmas to each and every one of you. Have a good, safe New Year. That's all I have.
Okay. I'll go next. I don't have a great deal to add to some of the things that have already been said. We did a pretty good job at the School Boards Association meeting, splitting up and not having all of us in one room. It seemed that rarely were there even two of us in one session. So there was good sessions over there. I attended the event at the Senior Center with Mike DeWine earlier, and you know, had a chance to ask him some questions about charter schools, and kind of didn't really come directly out and saying, as Attorney General, why hasn't he prosecuted more of the shenanigans that have gone on, but and then continue the tutoring with Project More, the first grade reading efforts at the primary school Monday mornings. And on Monday attended the swearing in of the new council members and our new mayor. So that was about all I have to add to anything that anybody else has said. So, and Ms. Luce, since this is your last meeting,
Get to go last.
you get to go last.
Okay. Well, I didn't know if I could get through this very well, so I made some notes. Wow, it's been 4 years already. When I ran for office 4 years ago, I said that I'd give this board 4 years of my life to try to make a difference, and it has been 4 years of my life. And I've learned a lot in that 4 years. One of the main things is sunshine law. I know all about that now with all of us, and as much as we love each other, we have to stay apart. So we've learned that. But really the only person that knows exactly what I've been through on this journey in 4 years is Andy. And I want to thank Andy for everything. When we started 4 years ago, Andy, we had a very different town. We had a very different morale. We had a very different board. And if you remember, those were the days where we had town meetings at the Legion and at churches, and the teachers wore red shirts. And now they wear Skyhawk shirts, and we're very proud of that. We're very proud of that. We've come a long way. I just wanted to go over a few things that have happened in 4 years quickly. We have a new superintendent. We have a new treasurer. We have new legal counsel, if you remember. We have new buses. We have taken a lot of pride in our buildings, our stadiums, our fields. We have passed levies and a bond issue. We collaborate now with City Council. We have meetings with the City Council and with the Township trustees in ways that we never did before. And we're working together, and we've made huge strides in where this town is. And we're very happy with that. I think everybody is. But you all know we also have administrators, new administrators in all buildings. We've switched some around, and we've added a lot of new ones. And I think the morale in our buildings is the highest I've seen it, I don't know, maybe decades. And it's great. The parents are happy, the children are happy, the staff and the faculty are happy, and that is huge. And one of the biggest things we've done is pass levies and bond issues, and we're building new schools. And I'm really proud of that. I do regret that I won't be with this group, hang on, to see those schools actually, you know, to make a lot of those decisions, but I'm not going anywhere. I'll still be in Fairborn, and I can watch those buildings be built, and I'll be so happy the day that they open up. And Pat said I've been around a long time, and we've brought our children through the school system. We have. And my child's still here.
Back there.
Unfortunately.
And I'm hoping that he stays a long, long time. He's the kind of teacher we want, and I'm very proud of him. So I want to thank a few people along the way. First of all, I want to thank publicly Vernon Watkins. You all know Vernon.
Yep, Vernon.
One of the biggest cheerleaders ever for this board and campaigning for us, and I just want to thank him. I want to thank Andy, of course, for being with me for 4 years, and I want to thank Donna for sharing Andy for 4 years, because she was right there too. And there's a few people around that I don't think get a lot of recognition that have really made a difference in my life for being on this board. The first one was Cindy Harshbarger. She keeps us straight. She taught me School Board 101 right from the very beginning in such a sweet way, and she always made sure that I knew where I was supposed to be and what I was supposed to do while I got on my feet. And once I got on my feet, she was still there. And then she passed the torch, and Tammy Bird's there. And she keeps us on our toes and keeps us on our feet, and we cannot do half of these things that we do without her being behind us. And while we're at central office, I cannot leave out one of my biggest cheerleaders, Pam. Thank you. Okay, and then my other Pam in this building. These two are always here, every meeting, right there, no matter what. pushing me on. And sometimes when I think it's not where I'd like it to be, those two are making faces at me and doing things that really, really help. And then there's Tom and Wendy Kirsch. Wendy was my childhood friend, and we cheered together here, we graduated together, and we've been together all these years. And there was nobody smiling at me more, giving me thumbs up, calling me, texting me. I don't know if you know this, but Wendy and I were in a women's group for about 10, 12 years, and we met every Monday night. And I could not have got through a lot of these meetings without Wendy. Just always there, and I could never thank her enough for that. And Tom, for being behind Wendy. So thank you so much. It means the world to me. My family, the ones here, you know, they didn't understand this from the beginning. What this is another crazy things Mom is doing, and what is she doing now? You know, but they did get behind it. At least they learned to understand it a little bit better, and they realized how much time it took up and how important it was. And I think as they saw the changes going on in the district and in the town, they understood it more. So that was really great, and I want to thank Bob for always being here and supporting me. It just means a lot to have all these people along the way that are there for you and just kind of help you get through everything. And of course, the faculty and the staff here, we're second to none. We have really great people here. And not just that, we work together very, very well. You know, we don't have sides. It's not us and them. It's us, just us. And I really appreciate that and the way everybody does work together. And then the board. It was Andy and I for a while, and then we brought the other three up here, and it has been wonderful. These are the best people to work with. We truly like each other, get along great. We enjoy being together, whether it's in Columbus or Lebanon or Fairborn, all around. Everywhere we go, everything we do. We don't always 100% agree on everything, but we are able easily to talk about it and work it out and come to agreements. Mm-hmm. And I really, really appreciate that. And I know they all appreciate each other. Yeah. So thank you so much to them. To Mary, I want to say good luck. She couldn't be walking into a better board. I think the district is in a great place now. I think we've come a long way, and I think we're still going. I think we're on our way, and I can't wait to see what happens in our future, because this journey's not over. We still have a lot of work to do, but we're right in the middle of it, and I think we're doing the best we can, which is something I don't think we could ask for any more than that. So thank you, everybody. I appreciate it.
Okay. We're not done yet. We're not moving on to adjournment yet. We have a resolution here that I would offer the board to introduce. So, may I have a motion?
So moved. Oh, second.
Thank
you got
Mrs.
it.
Maud.
Go ahead, you got it.
Thank you, Mr. Browning. Recognition to recognize board member service to the Fairborn City School District. Whereas Ms. Jerry Luce was elected by the citizens of Fairborn City School District on November 5th, 2013, and whereas she has served as a board member with her term beginning on January 1st, 2014 and expiring December 31st, 2017, and whereas she has dutifully served in the following positions during her time on the board: Fairborn City School Athletic Representative, Hall of Honor Selection and Induction Committee member, Fairborn City Schools Wellness Committee member, Fairborn Board of Education Liaison to Bath Township. And whereas she was always honorable in her deportment and in her dealings with everyone, and whereas the citizens of this fine community are richer because she served so well, now therefore be it resolved that the Fairborn Board of Education wishes to recognize Ms. Jerry Luce for her selfless service and contribution to the Fairborn City School District community. In testimony of their gratitude, this resolution is spread upon the minutes of the Fairborn Board of Education as part of the permanent record of this educational institution in the great state of Ohio, signed this 7th day of December 2017.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Okay.
Not done yet.
Not done yet. How'd you get the car up here?
Come on.
Come
on,
on,
Jake.
Come on, Jake.
Come on, it's your handiwork.
You let the secret out.
Is it alive?
No.
Jake's gonna do my face.
That's debatable, I think.
We wanted to give you something to decorate the house with, and we enlisted the help of your highly capable son.
Highly talented.
Oh, my God.
Give her a hug.
That is neat.
That is really, that's beautiful, Jake.
Thank you. We just kind of turned him loose.
Loose.
Get a picture. Hey, Jake, get a picture with her up here.
We probably,
Yeah.
oh,
And then we'll let them get it,
them
and
do
then we'll
it.
come
Get the
up.
family picture.
yep.
That's right.
Why is it he looks older than she does?
Let's all get a picture.
Harassed by certain board members.
Okay.
I'll be the shortest one now.
Louis the 14th.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you so much.
Oh, I think we're flowers.
Wait.
And my wife, the former florist, helped out here.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Andy. Thank you for everything. Look at y'all.
That's right. Thank you.
I don't know why I did that. Thank you. Thank you so much. And this way.
Okay, I think I got everything.
You did.
You literally got everything.
So,
Okay, now we can request a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Thank you, Mr.
You
McCarty.
can second it.
Second.
Thank you. Thank you, Jerry.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Motion carries. We are adjourned.